Welcome to episode 77 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing and knitting a handmade wardrobe from head to toe. Hello everyone, my name is Isabell and you can find me on Instagram as Fluffy Fibres, and you will find the show notes for this episode, as for all of the previous episodes, on my website, which is fluffyfibres.com. Thank you so much for joining me today on this incredibly beautiful, sunny, spring-like day of mid-February 2020. I'm so glad to be back with you today. I do hope you are all doing well, and I do hope this finds you able to take a little break with perhaps some knitting or some other making, and hopefully a nice cup of your favourite beverage. And I'm very, very glad to be back. As you know, it's really difficult for me to film regularly due to a very, very packed life between my children and a very, very full but wonderful job, and my making, of course. And also recently I've been more and more into finding a balance in my life between intellectual activities, making activities, and physical activities. So I've been a lot more involved in some yoga especially, and I will be talking about this actually in my sewing segment today. But yeah, so it's really difficult to fit the podcast into it, but honestly I'm always so happy to record. I'm always so happy to be back with you, so I do hope you don't mind the gaps too much. And so without any further ado, for today's episode we'll have my cup of tea, events, a bit of knitting, quite a bit of knitting actually, and a bit of sewing. In my cup of tea today, which is a lovely, I think I showed this cup earlier in an earlier podcast, and it's handmade in England. And so I have in this some lovely Love is Beautiful tea by Love Organic, which is a French company of organic teas and infusions. And this particular one, to me, is very spring-like. It's a mix. It's a blend of green tea and rooibos, and then some fruit. So yeah, I typically drink this later in the year, but it really feels like spring. Honestly, it doesn't feel like we have had any kind of winter here in southern France this year, which is very, very worrying again. But yeah, at least we have some wonderful sunny skies. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. I feel it's quite energizing. So for events, this is an event that is more related to my French audience, but also anyone who is not French but in France or planning to visit France in April. So I mentioned this in an episode last year when I did go to this festival, but in early April, there is going to be the second edition of the Knit Eat Festival in Lyon, and I absolutely loved this festival last year, so I'm very, very happy to go back this year. I'm going to be there on the Saturday, so this year it's going to be the 4th and 5th of April, and I'm going to be there on April the 4th, so the Saturday. And I'm super, super excited. We are planning this. We have been planning this for quite a while with my all my knitting friends in Montpellier, and so we're going to go there all together in the train. It's going to be an amazing day. I can't wait to meet friends from all over France, at this festival, and I'm very honoured that the Knit It team of organisers have given me 2 invitations to this event to give away. So if you haven't seen that already on my Instagram feed, I did post the giveaway there on Monday this week. So if if you're considering going to the festival, feel free to go and try your chance at winning one of these invitations for yourself and for a friend. So for a bit of knitting today, I actually have quite a bit of knitting. So this is actually sub-organised into 3 sections. So I'm going to start with my finished items, and I have 6 finished items. One item that is almost done, and then I would like to, yeah, I just started something as well, a cardigan, and then I would like to just talk about a future project as well with some really beautiful yarn that I received over Christmas. So first of all, I finished what you can see in the background, which is this cardigan that I knit for Seb, my husband. So this is the Aileas cardigan by Isabell Kraemer. I think it's written for women, but I just felt it was perfectly unisex and it would be perfect for Seb. So it has quite a bit of details, as you can probably see. So I'm going to show this to you more closely so you can see the details. So, okay, and focus on the, okay, there you go. So this is knit from the top down seamlessly, and you do pick up the collar here, which is really lovely because it's a folded collar, so a ribbed collar, so it's beautifully finished on the inside as well. And you have these faux cables running down the fronts, but also running down the sides here, as you can see, and running all the way, up the sleeves as well. And you also have some nice cable details. This is a beautiful design, truly. It's really very well explained, very well finished with beautiful details. The sleeves are really lovely. I don't think I've ever done sleeves in this way. So you have quite a lot of short row shaping, which does make for a beautiful sleeve. Hopefully you can see this. But yeah, it does make for a beautiful sleeve. And yeah, Seb absolutely loves this. So this was a long time in the making. I started this, so I got the yarn at the EYF, the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, last year, so just a year ago. And it is beautiful Swedish yarn, so it's by Allcentrum. So it's Gotland, it's 100% Gotland yarn, which is untreated and undyed. So it's very, very natural, but it's so, it's quite dry feeling. So definitely not the same kind of feel as merino, but it definitely softens with, with wear and washing, and it's incredibly sturdy, very, very warm, so it's worsted weight. So this particular shade is mid-grey. So I started this, I can't really remember when I started this actually. Let me check on my Ravelry. So I started this in April of last year, late April of last year. Oh yeah, I remember I started this during the Easter holidays last year. And my plan was for this to be finished by Seb's birthday, which is on the 9th of July. And I was well on my way to finish it, despite tremendously hot temperatures that we had in June last year. But the sleeves didn't fit quite right, so I undid both sleeves. Then I set it aside for the rest of the summer because I just couldn't bear to work on this very, very hot project anymore. And also I think I just needed a little break from it. And then I picked it up again, and so I gave it to him on Christmas. And so he seriously has been wearing this every single day since I gave it to him. So I actually had to ask him to not wear it today, so that I could podcast and show it to you. And so the buttons are lovely buttons. They are bows from trees that have just naturally fallen on the ground and that are cut and polished by makers on Etsy. If you're interested, I can definitely give you the link to the Etsy shop, but it's quite lovely. This is plum tree actually. So I'm very, very pleased with the buttons. I'm very pleased with this project overall. Of course, since it's for Seb, and that's what I liked about this design. It was one of my constraints for the design, of course, is that I had to be able to adjust the length of the pattern, especially the length in terms of the, from the neck to the shoulder, which obviously is deeper for Seb than it would be for me, for instance, because he's obviously taller. Well, not obviously, but for me it's obvious because I'm so very short. But yeah, he is taller, and it definitely is reflected as well in this depth of armhole, really. And yeah, I knitted the sleeves extra long so that they could be really cozy. Yeah, so you know, it was quite a challenging process, but I'm very, very happy with the finished result. So I also made, very quickly actually, some fingerless mitts out of some lovely yarn samples that I received from Blacker Yarns. So in late autumn of last year, Blacker Yarns issued their birthday blend that they do every single year. So they come up with a different blend every year to celebrate their opening. And I was very kindly sent 2 samples, so 2 mini skeins of this blend in 2 shades that were very, very well chosen for me. I don't know if that was on purpose, if they looked at my Instagram feed, but that was really spot on for me in terms of shades. So this light grey, which is Hepworth Natural, and then the blue, which is Tribar Bleed. I really love them. And so yeah, so what I did with my tiny samples is that I wanted to make fingerless mitts. So I divided my 2 samples into 4 mini balls of yarn, and I knit 2 coloured Susie Rogers reading mitts. So the Susie Rogers reading mitts are actually one of the, I think they are one of the oldest patterns I know on Ravelry. I remember when I first started knitting in 2011, I remember cueing this design very, very early on when I started knitting and really wanting to make these. And so I'm so glad I finally did. So yeah, I did, this design is supposed to be to create 1 colour mitts. But a ton of people have done this kind of version, kind of variation, and you can find a ton of notes to show you the process. And so yeah, so I really just knit as much, you know, until I ran out of yarn. Basically, I really wanted them to be really, really high on my fingers, because I tend to knit fingerless mitts that are shorter on the knuckles, but then you really do feel the cold when you do need these. So these are really quite warm and cozy. So I really like them. They really go well with my dark grey pavot coat that I'm wearing all the time. Okay. So yeah, if you're looking for a design for fingerless mitts, you know, this is a really nice one. I really like the eyelets and the lovely picot hems. Yeah, they feel really Victorian, you know, in a very simplified way, but yeah, they're a little bit fancy. I really like them. So yes, so after that I knit a Christmas gift for some very, very dear friends, and so I did record a small video to show you this project before I sent it off before Christmas. So we're going to go to Isabell of the past to see this project. So I am recording this much earlier than the present episode, because this is actually a gift that I'm about to send off as a Christmas gift to my very good friend Lise. And so I knit a blanket for my friend and her husband, who are newly married, and I felt it would be a lovely first Christmas as newlyweds gift. So yes, it is rather large. It is 120 meters by, I think, 90 centimeters, if I recall, so almost a square. So just showing you the detail of the stitch here. So the design I used for this is Silver Meadow by the Fibre Co. So the Fibre company released a few patterns in the early fall, and this was one of them, and I really felt it was such an elegant design for a blanket. And I don't know, for some reason I felt this kind of design just, I was just afraid to make the blanket like, you know, a throw that will feel like a baby blanket, and that's definitely not what I wanted. So I feel this kind of design is more elegant and probably better for, you know, for home decor for adults rather than for a nursery. And also the colour as well was decided with this in mind. So I know this is a colour that Lise tends to favour. So it is, the yarn is Cyrano by Rerum Natura. And so it is their bulky or Aran weight yarn. So you have 150 metre per 100 gram ball. And so I got 6 balls. So yeah, and so I had 900 meters in total. I used almost all of it. I think I have, well, actually you can see here what I have left. This is what I have left, so not much at all. This is really quite empty actually. So yeah, so this the colorway is called Doré, so golden. So of course my Ravelry page was called Golden Meadows, since the pattern was called Silver Meadows. So this is organic French merino, and with a bit of Portuguese merino, which is raised in France as well for darker shades. I'm not sure if there is some Portuguese merino in this. Maybe there is though, but because it is quite a light colour, but it has a dusky shade to it, I feel. So it's like a burnt gold, really, not a very light gold, but like a burnt gold. So yeah, I really enjoyed making this actually. So to meat gauge, I used 6.5mm needles, which is huge actually, but was, you know, you just need to get used to it and then it's fine. And so yeah, I knit this in a little under a month. But I knit pretty, you know, very monogamously on this because I really wanted to make sure it was done for Christmas. But I am filming this on December 9th and it is done, so I'm very much on time. So yeah, Seb loves this actually. I think he would really like me to make the same one for us, for our living room, because we have a navy blue sofa, so it would really complement the sofa quite well actually. So yes, my blanket of friendship is for my 2 friends. So the next project I made was for my little boy, who is 3.5 now, and so I made him a little jumper, a little sweater, which I finished it over the Christmas break as well. I actually think I finished this on Christmas Eve. So this is, hopefully you can see this well, I'm feeling this is a little too bright actually. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, this is the Kalysta sweater by Kassije. So she's a French designer, she's Jessica Ambada, so Kalysta de Kassije. And so this is raglan sweater with this lovely textured front. So it's a kind of a lacy cable. Hopefully you can see this well. Yeah. So and so I knit this out of BC Garn Hamilton tweed, which is really some lovely yarn. Maybe you will see this better on the back of the sweater. But it's a really lovely yarn with these flecks, you know, multicolored flecks, and the color is so gorgeous. So this is color number 10, and it's this really, you know, pumpkin shade, which is really quite lovely and really suits my little boy really well. So yeah, it's very soft. It's got a lovely drape and handle. It was so nice to work with as well, because it was so really soft, and it was really fast to make as well. I knit the size 4 years old, so that it lasts for a bit. But yeah, I think it's going to work for at least 1 more year, hopefully. So my next project I started just after finishing this. You know, I tend to be a monogamous knitter, so I started this over the Christmas break. This was actually my Christmas Eve cast on, and this cast on was extra special this year because it was also a knit along with two friends, Lise, who is Listela, and Simone, who is Yarn by Simone, who dyes beautiful yarns in France. More on that in a little while actually. And so together we knit the Magnolia Chunky Cardigan by Camilla Vad. So this this is my version. So as you can see, I went for a medium to dark grey. Again, it is a little bright on the camera. Let me adjust, yeah. So yeah, this is better. So yeah, a medium to dark grey, as you can see. And I absolutely love this. I love this so much. I'm going to slip it on actually, even though it's quite warm today, but just so you can see it. So yes, there you go. So this is a cropped cardigan, which isn't that cropped on me because I'm very short, but it's fine. That's just the length I wanted. And it's supposed to have 3/4 sleeves, but we were discussing it with Lise and Simone, and Lise remarked that it was quite silly to have 3/4 sleeves for a super bulky sweater, super warm sweater, and I completely agree. And so I just did regularly long sleeved tapered, and I didn't do the lace detail at the sleeves either. So yeah, because anyway they wouldn't fall the same length at the same height as the this beautiful lace detail here. So yeah, and so it's incredibly warm and cozy, but I think since it's still polished, so I actually feel it goes really well with the blouse I have underneath. So I was hoping to wear this as an outfit to record today, but it's just too warm to wear a cardigan this afternoon. But yeah, I feel this works really, really well with this collar here. So yeah, so as you can see, it has this beautiful lace. I'm sure you all know the Magnolia series by Camilla Vad. She developed quite a number of pullovers and cardigans with this design. I think it all started in an issue of Lane magazine that I actually have, and maybe one day I will knit the original, I think it's fingering weight pullover with this detail. So yeah, it's an incredibly satisfying knit because it's I knit this on 6mm needles. So what you do is you use a strand of DK and then 2 strands of mohair. So yeah, it makes for a very poofy kind of yarn in the end. So yeah, so it obviously knits rather fast. And so once you've knit all the, so it's a circular yoke, once you've knit all the yoke and you've separated for the sleeves, you start the lace straight away, so you're never bored really, and the lace is really lovely to knit as well. So you're really done quite fast. And so yeah, so the yarn I used for this is another yarn that I got at EYF last year, and well, one of the yarns, and it was my most special yarn from EYF last year. I think it was my most special yarn in my whole stash actually, and it was Black Isle yarns. Julie lives on Black Isle, and what she does is that she uses wool from sheep local to her, very, very local to her. So she visits the farms around her and selects some blends, some breeds of sheep or crossbreeds, and then she has these. So she has the fibre from these sheep blend and processed at a spinning wheel for her, and then she, if needs be, sometimes she just leaves them undyed, and then if she dyes them naturally with plants. So this is an incredibly special yarn, very, very limited collection of limited editions obviously, and so Last year I got 3 skeins of her beautiful crossbreeds blend in a DK weight, which was this beautiful cool medium grey, and it was so beautiful. And so I paired it with 2 strands of Kid Silk Merino from Drops in a slightly darker grey, and the result is this like almost shimmery result, very interesting, you know, deep colour, you know, since the 2 shades aren't quite the same, and I absolutely love that. So yeah, this is incredibly decadent, incredibly soft, but still it has some body and some soul to it, so I absolutely love this project. I absolutely love the yarn, and the cardigan is, yeah, it's just a joy to wear. And of course this is made even better by the fact that I knit it with 2 friends. So yes, and the buttons I picked with my daughter. So my daughter is an excellent button picker and so I didn't have anything that worked in my stash, so we went to the local notions shop, and she found these, which are perfect because they're kind of a blend of the 2 shades of yarn really, so it's just perfect, I feel. So yeah, this of course is great because this dark grey goes with a lot of things in my wardrobe. You know, I've been very concerned over the past few years really, but I've been really trying to select yarns and colours that work well for my wardrobe. So yeah, that definitely is the case with this. I know I will be wearing this a ton, but yeah. So yes, the final thing that I finished in terms of knitting is socks. So this definitely is, I feel this episode is like the, I don't know, reaping the fruits of last year's EYF, because I've been knitting a lot of yarn from EYF 2019, and I finished the socks that I started there, which seems ridiculous because it does mean I started these almost a year ago, but that's just the way I go with socks. These were my travel socks that I picked whenever I travelled and I didn't feel like working on a garment. You know, I'm very much a garment knitter. I'm very driven to building my wardrobe, my handmade wardrobe, and so if I'm really motivated to work on a garment, even when travelling, I'm going to take that garment with me. But when I'm between projects, or for instance if I'm, you know, reaching the end of a very large garment, obviously I'm not going to lug this garment, you know, around when I'm travelling by train, when I'm going to work and so on. And so in that case I'm going to just take these, and so that's how these came to be knit. So the design is the Twinkling Trees socks, which seems very strange, I guess. And of course you can't see that very well, but I know they're there, so that's what matters to me. But there are the tiny little trees here. Obviously this is not Christmassy at all because of the colour, and because of that I didn't do the bubbles on top of the trees either. But I just like this little bit of texture at the top. I think it makes it more interesting. And so yes, so these are actually DK socks, DK weight socks, which I'm now typically knitting for myself because I find I don't really wear my socks outside. I wear really thin socks in my shoes. So my hand knit socks I actually wear at home, and when I'm working from home, or on the weekends, or in the evening to wind down. So it doesn't matter if they're not fingering weight yarn. Actually it's even better if they're a slightly thicker yarn, because they're cozier, they're toastier, and of course it means they're faster to knit. And since I'm not a very prolific sock knitter, that's even better for me. So that's how these came to be. And actually I just posted a picture on my Instagram feed for my next socks that I'm about to start, and they're going to be again DK weight socks from some lovely yarn by Hedgerow Yarns. So do feel free to head over to my Instagram to see this, because I didn't bring this yarn over today, but yeah, so I really like this design by Danny. Danny's designs by Little Bobbins Knits are just all wonderful. They're very detailed. I love the techniques that she uses. I love this kind of heel. So yeah, and the yarn is West Yorkshire Spinney's Air Valley DK. So it's a very, very good value, and it's the colourway is Purple Haze. It's a really good blend. It's quite sturdy, but at the same time quite soft. It feels like it's going to be a very durable kind of yarn. So yeah, very happy to have these. So yes, so that is it for all of my finished knitted objects for this time. I'm actually almost done as well with another garment, which is another Love's Promise cardigan. So if you've followed me for a while, this is actually my third one. So I made my first Love's Promise cardigan. So this is a design by Agata Makiewicz, who is a Manitou Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. She's absolutely lovely. She's Polish and gorgeous, just so inspiring. All of her designs are gorgeous. And so this is one of her earlier designs, and so it's a simple open front cardigan with lovely lace detail running down the sides as a faux seam if you want. Hopefully you can see this. So yeah, so it's a very like I made this one particularly cropped because for two reasons. First, I wanted to wear this over dresses, and second, I just used all the yarn I had to do this. So yeah, so here you go. As you can see, I actually already blocked this, yes, last night. All I have left to do is weave in the ends and it will be done. So yeah, so there you go. It's a very, very dark green, and as you can see, it's an open front cardigan, so rather fast to knit. It's got a raglan yoke, and it's got this garter stitch button band border and hem band as well. And so yeah, and the sleeves are supposed to be three-quarter sleeves, but again, to me, either I need a cardigan with full sleeves or I don't need a cardigan at all. So this, I lengthened the sleeves. And this is why also I made it rather cropped. Although it's okay actually, isn't it, this length. Obviously it's not working perfectly with this shade, but it's just to show you, to show it to you well. And you can see here hopefully the lace faux seam, as it were. The yarn is extremely special. It was my Christmas gift from Seb this year, and it is some yarn from Maison Corlaine. So this is their beautiful label. So, and it's from their Fisherman collection. So their Fisherman collection of yarn is all of their untreated yarn, so non-superwash yarn, and they have selected some incredibly beautiful blends and fibres for this collection. And this particular one is BFL in Gotland, and so that explains the very dusky hue, because the Gotland yarn is itself dark grey, like this one, and also the halo, the lovely halo, but also the lustre, the shine, due to the BFL in it. So it's such a lovely, lovely blend. I think you can see this shine here with the sunlight here, hopefully. And the name is Siesha. So hopefully I haven't butchered this, but Siesha, I think. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, and so the thing is, I wanted to get three skeins of this. So I had my eye on this shade and this blend for a while, and so when so yeah, Maison Corlaine, Aurore and Guillaume were very busy preparing for a yarn festival at the end of the year, so I was waiting for them to get back from the festival, put the remaining stock on the Etsy shop. And when they did, there were only 2 skeins of this available. So I did pick them, but the thing is, I think the metrage is a little, it's like a thick fingering weight. And if I recall, it's around 300 meters. I'm not sure it's written actually, no it's not written. I think it's around 300 meters a skein, a 100 skein. Maybe 350, but no more than this. So of course it's a little bit short to make a winter cardigan, isn't it? So, but I knew, because I've knit this cardigan twice already, I knew that you could definitely get away with a little bit less than 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. So yeah, so I did use every single bit of this yarn. I weighed my yarn very carefully for the sleeves especially. I divided up my, the remaining yarn into 2 equal balls for the sleeves, and it all worked out perfectly, so I'm very, very pleased. I know I will be wearing this quite a lot. I made this specifically to go over a couple of outfits. So if you recall, last time I recorded a podcast, I showed you, I think one of the final outfits that I showed you that I'd sewn was a little ruffled skirt out of a Greenstyle fabric, which was in the green meadow. And I had paired it with a teal green t-shirt, an Agnes top. And this actually is like, it's one of the shades that is present in Greenstyle's fabric, and also it's like the same shade as the t-shirt but a lower value, so darker really. So I think it's going to work quite well with this. And also the one thing I picked during the sales this year was a beautiful cut of fabric from Atelier Brunette. So they do these cuts of fabric which are end of bolts, so yeah, so that's quite nice, and also I feel quite sustainable because it means less waste as well. And so I picked this gorgeous viscose from them, which is their Moonstone, green, which is a very deep and very cool green. It's almost blue, and it is a perfect match, an absolutely perfect match for this. So I was so excited. That wasn't planned actually, but when I received the fabric I was so excited to see this. So yeah, they definitely work well together. So yeah, I'm very excited about this as well. But yeah, that's a really lovely little cardigan. I do recommend this design if you want something, cropped and cute to wear over dresses. That's a really nice one. Finally, in terms of my knitting, I just cast on a new project, so 3 days ago. So I started a cardigan by Atelier Emily, who is a French designer. So you can't see much. I will obviously be putting a picture of the design on the screen. So it's a cardigan with a lacy front, really quite lovely, and I'm knitting mine with a mix of, again, mohair and merino and 4-ply fingering weight to get this lovely halo. And also I'm knitting this, so this is supposed to be knit with no ease, but I'm knitting this with quite a bit of ease, so I went up a size. I'm knitting the size 3, and this means it's going to be this airy, slightly boxy cardigan, which is very in at the moment and which is really lovely, I feel. So the yarn I'm using is almost the last of my yarn from EYF 2019, so you will be pleased to know that. And so it is this amazing, this very, very beautiful yarn from John Arbon Textiles in this beautiful mauve pink. I actually have a skein here for you to see. So yeah, it's so beautiful, isn't it? So I love this colour. I loved the booth of Joan Arbon textiles last year at EYF. It was one of my favourite. I just loved going back there, and they had these beautiful walls of knit by numbers colours. So it was just a rainbow of colours, so beautiful, all set also in, you know, you had the rainbow horizontally, and then vertically you went from the lightest at the bottom to the darkest at the top. And so this is the lightest shade in the number 9, I think, so it's 91, knit by number 91. So this is the 4-ply, so it's organic Falklands merino, so it's incredibly soft, just wonderful, you know, all around. I absolutely love this. I love Joan Arbon textiles. I love what they're doing, so yeah, so this is, like, as you can see, a very dusky mauve, really, you know, a mix of very, very light grey, pink and purple, really. I love it so much. And so I am pairing it with, again, some kid silk from Draps, and this shade is 9, shade 9, so yeah. And this is working really well, I think. I think the mohair looks really, really lighter, but that's because of the amount of light that we have, and of course it reflects the light quite a lot. So in real life, when you knit them together, they really are very, very close in colour, as you can probably see actually in my project here. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. It's a very soothing colour to work with, which is always lovely, isn't it? And yeah, I'm very excited about this project. Yeah, and so obviously I know in terms of, you know, ethically probably Drops isn't the best way to go, but I always first look at French mohair, like, you know, mohair that is made locally in France, which is the Mohair des Fermes de France, but they didn't have the shade that I needed, and Drops obviously have a lot of shades, and of course it doesn't hurt that it's very economical, right? I think we can all agree on that. But yeah, it's incredibly soft, and I really enjoy knitting with this. I know not everyone loves knitting with Drops mohair. I personally have enjoyed knitting with every colour that I've used from Drops mohair, Drops kid silk mohair. So yes, so that is it for my knitting at last. I'm not sure how long I've been talking already, but yeah. Actually, that is not all, because I still wanted to talk to you about my next project after that. But yeah, I did want to show you these amazing skeins of yarn that I purchased around Christmas as well, I think just before Christmas. Hello again, I'm back. I had to stop filming because I ran out of battery. I really should buy a spare battery for this camera. And then I had to fetch my children from school, and so I have half an hour to finish filming before Seb goes off to his running session. So yeah, so yes, obviously the lighting has changed quite a bit. It's now 5:30, so yes, let's do this, shall we? So yes, oh yeah, and I realised when I just looked at the film just a little bit whilst it was charging, whilst the camera was charging, and I realised my knot wasn't tied properly, so you could see a bit of the inside of the blouse. So that's life. That's what life is about, isn't it? Like, you know, this kind of unforeseen little mishap, but that's completely fine. But yeah, so I was just finishing my knitting segment by showing you these absolute beauties, and actually I think with the difference in lighting you actually see them a lot truer to colour, so this is very true to colour actually, and as you can see these are absolutely scrumptious, very deep purple, like warm purple, and so this colourway is called Madame Rêve, which is a beautiful name in itself. So Simone uses song titles for her colorways. And so I had fallen in love with this colorway. Well, I already loved it, but then Liz Taylor made a cardigan last year out of this colorway in a different in different bases. So she made a rendezvous cardigan by Atelier Emily out of a mix of merino and mohair, and it was absolutely stunning. And so yeah, I have been meaning to knit something in this colorway ever since, because I love this shade so much, and it's going to match so many of my clothes as well, because you know how much I adore purple but also pinks, so I think this would look amazing as well against a mauve, for instance. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. So I have been looking at designs for these beautiful skeins, and so this is a light fingering. So what this means is it's the exact opposite of the Maison Corlaine yarn I just showed you. So I can't remember if I showed you the logo. But yeah, so it's the exact opposite, since this is a light fingering. So as I was telling you, non-superwash merino, 80% and 20% silk, and so you get 600 meters per 100 gram skein. So this means I have 1200 meters there, which is huge for me. I don't think I have ever knit a cardigan or a garment that ever needed more than this. So the world is my oyster there. I could really knit. I have a lot of options. I am leaning towards the little yellow sweater, the Liss sweater by Andrea Mowry, which is a beautiful cropped cardigan with beautiful cables and lace at the front. And I was thinking of knitting it with longer sleeves, and it knits at a tight gauge, since I think the gauge is 28 stitches per 10 centimeters if I recall, so that's really quite tight, which would be good for a night fingering. And also this design was actually a gift from Liz, so it would be lovely to use this design that she gifted me to knit this yarn. Also, I forgot to say actually, but the Magnolia cardigan was also a gift from Liz when we had decided on doing this knit along. As soon as the cardigan came out, actually, she gifted me the pattern, which was so lovely. So yeah, so I'm at the moment I'm leaning towards this option, which I think it's going to be quite lovely actually. But we'll see. I reserve the right to change my mind, you know, until I cast this on. So yes, as for my sewing, so I haven't been making a lot. Actually, I only have one finished item to show you, and that is the one I am wearing today. It is the Pussy Bow blouse by Sew Over It, and yeah, here I'm wearing it untucked right now, and it's creased because I've been wearing it all day, but actually I had it tucked in before. So okay, this is the Pussy Bow blouse by Sew Over It, and I've been meaning to make this blouse for a while. I love Sew Over It designs, as you probably know, and so yeah, I've always felt this was such a lovely blouse to you know, for work especially, and yeah, I'm really glad I finally made one. But yeah, it's a very simple make really, in fact. It's a very enjoyable, non-stressful sewing project, this one really. So I love to wear it with high waisted trousers and yeah, tucked in like that. I think it's quite lovely, but you can still also, it's not that long, so you can definitely wear it untucked as well. So obviously it's creased because I've been wearing it all day, but yeah, you can also wear it that way. And so the one thing I did differently was the sleeves. So you're supposed to sew wristbands for the sleeves, and I didn't, because last time I made wristbands for to finish sleeves was with my Simplicity dress that I made a at the end of last year, and the buttons were so fiddly and such a pain to put on, especially, you know, when you have a very early mornings such as I tend to have. I just can't spend time, you know, fiddling with buttons. So what I did was simply because I have short arms as well, I didn't need the extra length of the wristbands, so I just turned under I think I just cut the sleeves a tiny bit longer, and then I just turned them under twice to make a channel, and yeah, and so I left a little bit unstitched at one end to insert the elastic, and that was it really. The fabric is one of Liz Taylor's beautiful prints from her winter collection. I absolutely love this print. I love the colour, I love the design, the print, these delicate flowers. I absolutely adore this. So I'm not sure how well it's picking up on camera. It is it's really a cross between a red and a pink. So very much like my lipstick, which is actually my favourite shade of red lipstick to wear. It's the one I think that suits me best, not quite red, but pinkish red. So yeah, I love this so much, and it's very, very nice to wear. And I definitely want to make more pussy bow blouses because, again, this is a really satisfying and rewarding pattern to make, and I love sew over it. So so yes, so that is my one finished project since I last podcast, because I did film a sewing related podcast at the end of 2019, and then I was so busy over January that I started this in early January and finished it in early February. So yeah, I just didn't have the time to come up to my sewing turret and sew, which is okay. I did tons of other things, so that's fine. I do have something in progress at the moment, which is that I cut out a blouse that I mentioned in my previous podcast. If I can find the pattern envelope. Yeah, here it is. So so I cut out well, I traced out this pattern and I cut out the fabric for it. So this is the Envol blouse by Atelier Scammit. So as you can see, it is a very loose fitting blouse, which is buttoned up, and it has this lovely yoke. I do love this kind of detail of a gathered yoke, and it has as you can see, it has also gathers at the back of the yoke as well. So with Atelier Scammit you have lovely finishing touches, so I know it's going to be a joy to make. And also she has online videos for a step-by-step tutorial to make all of her patterns, which is wonderful. So what I did was I cut out all the fabric pieces, I serged everything that needed to be serged, I interfaced everything that needed to be, and so the fabric is this gorgeous, I have a remnant here, it's this gorgeous Atelier Brunette viscose twill, and it's a very, very dark grey, so it's the Twig Night. So Twig is the name of the design and Night is the name of the colourway, so it's not quite black actually, it really is very dark grey. So I feel it's beautiful and very elegant. I think I did show this on my previous podcast. So it's going to be another, you know, loose fitting blouse that I'm hoping to wear tucked into high-waisted trousers. So yeah, again I'm thinking of doing elasticized wristbands for the same reasons that they are less fiddly in the morning. But apart from this, I'm thinking of doing it just as it is. And yeah, so more on that in my next podcast. And finally, in terms of future plans, future sewing plans, so as I was hinting at in the beginning of this episode, so I did brew myself another cup of tea. Now it's no longer tea, it's a chai, actually vanilla chai. So yes, I have been trying to find some balance between body and mind really, and so my mind activities and bodily activities, and so it has been doing me a world of good actually. And so I actually have been practicing yoga every single day since the end of December. So it's been 2 months now, and it's been amazing. It's been if you are bodily able to do yoga, I can just tell you how much good it can do to do yoga every day. So I know it sounds a little crazy at first, but in fact it's not that difficult to carve out just a little bit of time in your day to do some yoga. So obviously I'm not doing 1 hour sessions every day. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes in the morning or in the evening. Ideally it's 30 minutes a day, and I do go to a studio every week for 1 hour and a half for wonderful sessions. But anyway, my point is, because I'm not going to, this is not a lifestyle podcast, but my point is really that I have been needing more clothes to practice yoga in, because it's since I'm practicing every day. And so obviously I've been thinking of making my own yoga outfits, and so I've been looking up patterns for this. So I've been thinking of using the Jalie Clara, I think, leggings, which seem to be really good for energetic yoga. And I'm thinking for a yoga bra to use the Greenstyle Power Bra, which again looks really great, has great reviews. There are tons of styling options as well, and generally speaking Greenstyle seems to be an amazing pattern company. Of course there is another amazing pattern maker for activewear who is Melissa Fehr, who is a very good friend. Hello Melissa, if you're listening or watching. And she specializes especially in running. She does have a few items for yoga. She does have a duo of yoga clothing. I'm definitely thinking of making them later, but right now what I'm really after is like tight leggings, high-waisted leggings really, with a contoured waistband. So yeah, so for this I just received some beautiful organic fabric. So this is the very difficult thing when you're trying to sew activewear, is sourcing fabric, and especially sourcing sustainable fabric, because most fabrics that are designed for sportswear, is obviously has a high amount or is only made of polyester. And as you know, that is really problematic to me, and you do need a little bit of polyester, of lycra or spandex, obviously, to make your fabric extra stretchy. But I'm trying to find a balance between more sustainable fabrics and having the minimum amount of lycra possible. And so I just received this beautiful organic cotton fabric that has, I think, 5% elastane in it, so I'm not sure if it's lycra actually, so I'm hoping this might work. The reason why I'm hoping this might work is that it is rather thick, so that's something else as well I'm looking at when looking at fabrics for sportswear, is the weight of the fabric. So it has to be, in my mind, over 200 grams per square meter. So this, I think this seems good. The only concern I have is that this actually is digitally printed, so the other side is white and not black. So I'm a little bit concerned, as whether when it stretches it might not look white. We'll see. It's just, I'm going to test this out. But it's really hard to find sports fabric that is organic, that has organic cotton in it actually. Just as it's really hard to find yoga clothes, ready-made clothes that are made out of sustainable fabrics. You have quite you have a very few brands that do that. So yes, I'll definitely be reporting on this. I think it will be fine for the bra, definitely, but it's for the leggings that I'm concerned. But we'll see. Maybe it will work. I definitely intend to report back, and both on the patterns that I'm going to use and test, and on the fabric. But really, if you have any source for organic cotton with some lycra in it, like 5% or 10%, the only source I could find was Wazudal Fabrics in the US. And they have just one or a couple of organic cotton fabrics with lycra. One has 5% lycra, the other one has 10% lycra, which is, I think, probably preferable for leggings. But they only have it in solid black or solid white. And also it comes from the US, so not super sustainable in this respect, and especially the shipping, shipping it costs the same as the cost of the fabric actually. So they just opened, actually I just received an email, I'm on their mailing list, they just, now they're available in Europe, but just the light version, so the 5% lycra is available in England, but it's over twice the cost of when they sell it in the US, which, you know, obviously is understandable. But I'm just thinking, you know, just getting plain black fabric, you know, my point in making my own as well is to go, you know, have fun with it, really, because I do have a couple of yoga organic pants, leggings, that I bought, and that are black. So my idea was to try and branch out a little and have fun outfits. So, but yeah, so hopefully by, you know, next time I podcast, I will have done this and reported on this. I'm really excited about that actually. And yeah, so I'm also hoping to make a couple of sweatshirts, to sew a couple of sweatshirts for, you know, Shavasana, so the end of practice, or also the beginning of practice when you're not quite warm yet, but especially at the end, you know, the warm down session when you're the meditation part of the practice. I always wear my Linden sweatshirt to practice at the studio, but I definitely could do with a couple more. So yeah, I'm hoping to do that as well soon. So yes, so these are my projects. But yeah, I just wanted to share just a little bit about this, because if you've followed me for a while, you know I have some health challenges, but I feel like I'm finally gaining some control back over them for two reasons: the yoga, and also, you know, being really very mindfully active, like making sure I walk 10,000 steps a day, at least every day. But also the other thing that has helped me, and I'm just mentioning it before, I know it's completely off topic from sewing, but knitting, but in case, I know quite a number of you suffer as well from Meniere's disease, which is what I have, which induces vertigo and tinnitus and hypersensitivity to noise, and or, you know, people who have this condition. And something I did that I started in September that has changed drastically my life is going gluten-free. So that's not something that's very in France. It's not as widespread as in the UK or in the US. But I just was reading up actually on American scientific literature about Meniere's disease, and because it is considered to be an autoimmune disease, cutting or eliminating gluten sources of inflammation can really help. And to me it's been completely drastic. So I still have vertigo the same as I used to, and it's heightened by fatigue and stress, but the thing that was really ruining my life last year was tinnitus. I had very, very acute, very severe tinnitus, which was exhausting. And now I only have one ringing in my ear, which is bearable, which doesn't prevent me from going to sleep, which isn't as stressful, so you don't have this vicious circle of being exhausted because you can't sleep because of your ringing in your ears, and then having vertigo and more tinnitus and so on and so forth. And so also I feel I'm less sensitive to noise, which is great with small kids, obviously. So that also psychologically, I feel, again, I'm feeling that I'm regaining some control over this. So yeah, 2020 has started on a much more positive note for me. I'm feeling really confident and strong and really happy about all this, and it's definitely having repercussions on the rest of my life as well. So yeah, I know it has nothing to do with our making, but I know some of you, quite a number of you, react to my many years story, so just in case it helps someone, to me the results, I mean, within a week, I just suddenly realised, within a week of going gluten-free, I suddenly realised that I had a lot less ringing in my ears, and it's been clinically shown, because I was actually starting to go deaf in my left ear, and so in January I went to the hospital again for my regular appointment, and we realised I had regained all of my hearing in my left ear, so that is absolutely wonderful. So yes, anyway, I apologise for those of you who are not at all interested in all of this, but yeah, I do hope all of you are doing well or okay, or as well as you can, and that you are feeling supported if you're not. And I think of you that are dealing with this kind of condition or much worse conditions as well. My heart goes out to you, really. Yeah, thank you so very much for watching this episode. I do hope you enjoyed, and until next time, I hope your making brings you joy. Bye bye.